Somalians and how we mistreated them all and
Okay.
stuff like that. I'm like, I'm going to bed.
We're live now.
Okay,
Sorry.
call this meeting to order. Let the record show everyone's here except for Blake. We begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I have one addition to the agenda, and that will be, I'll put my glasses on, that will help, number 8, and that is an RFP for the railroad property. Are there any other additions? The motion to approve?
No move.
Second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Opposed, no. Motion carried. In your packet are the minutes of the regular meeting of May 4, 2026. Are there any additions, corrections, or questions regarding those minutes? Hearing none, those then stand approved as printed. We'll move on then to the claims.
Wonder Road, 4 and Main, what was that for?
The water and sewer extension.
Okay. No problem.
No. Getting there.
Start on sewer day. They're boarding the water tomorrow. So by the end of the week, our stuff will be done to the building site.
If there's no questions or comments, is there a motion to approve?
No move.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carried. Notices and communications.
The one letter in front of you is Southwest Minnesota Arts Council. I've never had anything like on my walls in the office ever, except my little map there. But now that I moved over to the other side, I have 2 big walls in that corner. And I have one of these prints that was damaged in shipping, but I pieced it back together. That's going to go on one wall. But I applied for a quick grant, as they call them, through the Arts Council, and they got me $1,500, and we got the check today and everything. Derek Meyer, who is a Slayton graduate, Jackie's son, is going to be doing a piece on what Murray County and Slayton means like to him for my office wall. So pretty comfortable. There's no mat for us, and be about a 5 foot wide by 2 or 3 feet tall. So yeah.
All right, neat stuff. Anything else for notices of communication?
No, the rest of it will be under pending. So
all right, let's go down then to pending.
pending will go in order. The electric utility, letter B. We have our administrative law judge report. Blake has that. I forwarded it on to him. I don't think I forwarded it on to the rest of the team. It's a little disappointing. There's nothing outright awful about it. It's just very vague. I think what our team, including Blake and myself, were expecting is, the PUC delegated this contested case to the administrative law judge for the sole purpose of coming up with specific numbers, or at least a specific framework to get to a number. And she didn't really do that in a lot of the areas. She said that both parties agree on the original cost minus depreciation being right around $3.25 million. So great. I'll skip number 2 because that's the longest explanation. Number 3 is the reintegration costs, and there's some back and forth there. They want us to pay for the meter takeouts, and we don't want to pay for that, and that's not really a huge dollar amount item. But overall, there wasn't a whole lot of direction given in the report there either. And then number 4 is kind of a miscellaneous other. We put forth in every round of our testimony that we didn't believe that there was any miscellaneous or other. They tried to put in, they being Excel, tried to say that a whole list of things, including the stranded value of their substation. That's a little bit still up in the air. She kind of kicked the can down the road as well there to the PUC. And then all of these solar garden costs and the ALJ and Department of Commerce and everybody said, no, you're not. You don't get to get compensated for that or track those ongoing. So that basically is out the window. One positive, and I'll get to the lost revenue piece, is that she basically put to bed in finality the whole Slayton can't do this because you're just by proxy doing it for nobles and you're not actually taking over the utility and blah blah blah. She, whole 2 pages on basically, it's, that argument is an argument, but it's not really based in any sort of statutory reality. If they have the right, the Department of Commerce legal team vetted that they had every right to do it and they checked every box and so on and so forth. So that's good. The loss of revenue piece, really the only concrete thing she said was that, we had argued 5 years, they had argued 20. She went with the 10 that has historically been settled on in the past. That's okay if the mill rate is low enough. Another thing that's a positive for us, that part's positive, but a positive part of that is that she did say, in no uncertain terms, that a lump sum would not be appropriate, that it should be paid as a mill rate, so that if the future load is lower, then either party is being compensated accurately for that. And that's about the extent of the report, unless I'm missing something like that you can remember. But other than I think it should be 10 years, there wasn't a whole lot of guidance on the loss of revenue piece. There was some Excel should prove what is included and excluded, or stranded versus non-stranded cost, and the problem that we see with that, and this will of course be in our exceptions that go to the PUC before it gets presented to them, they have it before it gets a hearing, is that there were a few different instances of hasn't really been done before. There's no good data. Neither party convinced me in order to form a solid opinion. So I need more data and proof, and I'm going to rely on Excel's version. It's up to them to give me this data set, or the PUC should rely on that. It's like, well, that might not be. There's 2 sides to every story, and data can be pointed a certain way. So there will be plenty of things that we will be including in our exceptions brief to the PUC, and as I'm sure they will have as well. But all in all, in a nutshell, if I were to summarize it in a couple sentences, is it's not as much of a roadmap to coming up with a number as probably either party wanted it to be. Their PUC is going to have a lot of work to do, which is
Kind of sounds like she wasted everybody's time.
I wouldn't disagree with that.
It was I read things, was it 67 or I don't know how many pages. I read that on our flight home from DC. So I read the whole thing, but he used the word should a lot, and that is not definitive. And come up with this, and the PUC should consider it this way, and should do this, and should do that, and there was hardly any
As
shall or
opposed to
this.
shall.
Yeah, I mean, just very,
You send us all the report, won't you?
Yeah.
I'd like to read that.
yeah, that it just came back.
So a reply brief is due June 5th, I believe. And they're already started on. Yeah. Are you good? You want me to same with you? let's see here. Letter C, natural gas. Tomorrow is the day. By the end of the day tomorrow, we will officially be the 19th municipally owned natural gas utility in the state of Minnesota. In the morning, the bond closing happens. The money is at Midwest, as they're buying the bond, and then it'll be at Midwest. So basically, the vast majority of it, basically 4.9 of the 5.1, will go right into our savings account, and then the other remainder of that will go to Ayler's to be paid down and tech that out. And then in the afternoon, the asset closing happens where the 4 million, four and change because of meter read aging type of stuff goes to Northwest Gas, and then the closing docs have already been signed by Myron and myself for the resolution that the council approved last meeting. Those agreements are in escrow right now until the time to be released and published, and then so it's all electronic and no in-person closing, but yeah, all the easements and everything will be recorded the next day, then Wednesday morning. Murray County, and yeah, we're good to go. Cool. Any questions about that? Letter D, 34th Street, the biggest news of the day, I would say. Yesterday was the final day of session. They had to adjourn by midnight, and they were yelling at each other until the end. But luckily, before that, at like 11:43 and 11:47, the House and Senate respectively passed the bonding bill, of which we were a part of, in the amount of $2 million for 34th Street. Full reconstruction from Juniper Avenue to 160th, so the entirety of the city portion of that road. And other than that description that I just gave, the scope of the project is really up to us to fit into the 2 million. I've talked to a couple of folks today. When you present and fill out your paperwork for bonding, they want to see that you have a match. But every local unit of government that I talked to today, which was 3 of them, all of them reported that, you know, if you fit the project within your allocated dollars, then there's no requirement to have that match, which is what I thought. I knew there was no statutory requirement to have a match. They just kind of like to see that, but when push comes to shove and you get your bonding dollars. So basically we have 2 million. If the project ends up being 2.2, we'll have to come up with 200 grand. If the project is 3, we'll have to come up with, we don't have to come up, if the project is 2, we don't have to come up, the way I'm understanding it. So I don't know when the money will be released. I'm kind of assuming might be the next fiscal year, which would be July 1st of 27. And yeah, I've never gone through this process before on the actual implementation side. The last bonding dollars the City of Slayton got was 2011, the year before I got here, and it was about 750 grand for our airport runway. So I do know that it's quite a process because it's state money, and so it'd be prevailing wage and all that good stuff. But we're extremely grateful to get $2 million that we don't have to tax our own people for in the form of special assessments and property tax. So it's fantastic news and surprising. I think everybody, it kind of came as a surprise to everybody, including most of the legislature, that there was going to be a bonding bill, period. But it came together in 48 hours, kind of like a cloak of darkness, and all of a sudden it was poof, we have this agreement for 1.2 billion. And everybody signed on to it, and leadership and both parties on both bodies, and that's exactly what happened. There was no last minute weird amendments. There was that one, but that got shot down pretty immediately, and the rest of them were kind of just technical changes, and there was no funny business at the end. So.
It's astounding that they could come up, I mean, because the list that they ended up with is, substantially less than the asks that were made, correct?
Oh yeah.
I mean, so how did they, in that short of a time, I mean, they must have had a list of, here's what we think it's gonna
They
be, or
do.
should
So
be,
how that
you know.
works, from what I've been told, is the state kind of gets the priority. So the mid-skew system for colleges, the veteran homes, the VCA, the state agencies, and then you whatever's left, then they go to each district and say you have X amount of dollars. So what I was told, by a few of my sources today was that number was $5 million per district. And well, we got two of that. And so I think like Lake Bent got $1 million for something, and like Lincoln Pipestone Rural Water got $2 million. So there's like 3 projects in Bill and Joe's district that got funded, and were sometimes when they get into their caucus meetings and each legislator picks their pet projects, they go with quantity over quality, meaning that they may pick 10 $500,000 projects versus one $5 million project, but they tend to give a lot of weight to bills and requests that have been in for multiple years, of which 34th Street checked every box for them this year because they wanted to do roads, bridges, water, sewer, and they were here for the bonding tour. They saw it. They drove it themselves, and testified last year at the Capitol in 2025. And so we kind of it's the long game, and it paid off last night at 11:45, 15 minutes before the demonstration. So yeah, fantastic. Any questions with that? Wonder World, water and sewers going in. Probably finish up our portion tomorrow. Boring. Later
The
on.
sewer will definitely be sure we can get it tomorrow. Water line will be in. We'll have a day, at least maybe 2 Wednesday, Thursday of setting the hydrant and putting a couple manholes in place on the sewer and all that. So yeah, right. Monday, Thursday, I would think. That portion of it's ready to go, and then it's up to the property line of the building. That's not very far.
Yeah, I haven't heard anything from all of the deed hasn't been recorded yet. Our attorney's working on final draft of that I would imagine by the end of the week that'll be fully recorded and conveyed to them. I haven't heard anything different from Ashley other than that June 1st is the estimated breaking ground date for concrete and stuff. Any questions on Wonder Woman?
Are they gonna do it, have a ceremony? So
They are. I don't think that plan has changed either since Ashley, they're gonna keep it internal for the kids and stuff. And then we'll have more of a grand event for all the donors, the city and the county, and everybody that supported the project.
Sure.
Letter G, we haven't given Brad an answer on the 9/11 traveling memorial. He asks me probably weekly about what we're gonna do or not do. We don't have anything budgeted for a contribution. So I don't necessarily need an answer tonight, but they probably shouldn't sit on pending until August when it gets here. So just keep that in the, maybe in the next meeting or two, we should probably make a decision. We don't have an overabundance of funds just kind of laying around as of late. So youth baseball fields. Many of you probably saw the post from the Baseball Association, Softball Association, Agri-Line's and fencing will be in shortly, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That's gone pretty smoothly.
It's going well. A little more egg line than anticipated, but it doesn't change the kind of this perspective. agreed to, it's with their budgeted amount.
Where'd you end up finding it?
Mankato, it's just a different place. The outfit that had it before was purchased by somebody else. That worked out good. But, yeah, the remaining ag land that we needed will be still covered by the ground. That I think is due, everyone's tickets will be the 25th of this month, so then. So it seems like it'll be paid.
If anyone wants to buy tickets.
Yeah.
Blake, yeah. Yes. Blake. Okay, that's pending.
Neat, there's action on all those pending
A lot
items.
of things that are about to not be pending. Right?
No,
Yeah.
we'll have to do stuff on those. All right, we have no unfinished business, so we'll move on to new business. And that's regarding the contract for the proposed public works.
Yeah, so I reached out to council a week or so ago. The original kind of wish was to have more of a presentable product in terms of a bid package for the public workshop this night, but it's not. Innis is not quite ready for that, and so there's a couple of
End of the month.
end of the month. So the formal action recommended would be to approve the contract as presented here for the $21,740. The add-on of bidding services, $1,375 for the public works shop. But you want to get into before the motion. You want to get into this. This was going to be on an earlier meeting, but that I found the Sourcewell kind of prefab buildings in Weston chased that down, and by no fault of any staff, the people that we were going through kind of it took a long time to get an answer. I'll explain that.
Yeah, I mean, what he said, so initially it seemed a little promising because you're getting all the source wall pricing, it's Korean. But it was only for prefabricated steel, and we got talking about it. It does sound like there's quite a few benefits to durability, things like that. So we went down the rabbit hole, and we might have said it in a previous meeting before. You could skip the bid procurement process when you're using source. So they could have come with us a price and building plan and everything. And we could have been like, that sounds great, let's go. And then we wanted to do any of the bid process for that. So that was another reason why we did go down that rabbit hole. The really great company to work with, they were called Greystone out of Shakopee, Minnesota. Everything would have been turnkey. In this process now, we'll have to sub out, some electrical and some other stuff. This would have been everything from the toilets to the hand dryers and bathrooms. Would have been completely completed. Cost came in super high. $1.2 million, which we talked about that earlier with the architect from DGR, and we all were like, no, that's ridiculous. Shouldn't cost that much to make a large storage building. So we didn't even really bring it. We just thought, well, let's go with the wood structure and Innis and the architect and get all our T's crossed and I's dotted, and we'll go with that. Yes, we did want to be here much sooner with this. We thought we'd go down that, and here we are.
So this would be that would have been kind of a circumventing the bidding process, like Weston said, turnkey. Now that price point, I think we're in a spot where Weston and I are certainly on the same page of let's just go out for bid, have Innis make sure all the specs are good to go for a design, and see what we get for bids on the building.
And part of his quote, he'll take care of that process. He thought by the end of the month, he knew he couldn't get it done by this week's meeting, but by the end of May, he thought he'd be ready.
First meeting is
First.
Okay, that's what I thought.
There's five days.
I was thinking it was early, so I was going to suggest maybe we'd have a special meeting to get things moving on, but I don't see any of that. No.
Yeah, recommendation would be to approve that contract with S2S.
Okay, is there a motion?
So move.
A second.
Second.
Any further discussion? Not all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. That brings us to our high use service pumps.
This was all in the emergency meeting.
Mm-hmm.
We have three high service pumps. They're all 1985-ish, and two of them went out at the same time. And so we have two 25. No, wait, am I saying that?
You're right.
Yeah,
Mhm.
two 25 horsepower ones and a 15 horsepower one, and the 15 horse is the only one that was left, and that was not pumping, of course, at a rate.
What fact? So that
Sure.
everybody knows what, when you say high service pump, what that is. So the way our water system here works is the wells, the pumps in the well pump the water out of the well, and it goes up to the top of the treatment plant. And at that point in time, water falls by gravity through the filter and down into what we call a clear well. It's a cistern or an underground. And then after the water's in there, that needs to be pumped again into the water system or the water tower. That's what these pumps are here for. So we're able to pump the water out of the wells, but it only goes.
Kept going.
Yeah.
Not well, I mean, during the day, that 15 fourth would keep the tower up, it drops, didn't raise, and at night when people weren't using water, it would raise it up to where it needed to be, but here was, that's 40 years old, so
Mhm.
we've been scrambling. So we had to have that work for a few days, but yes, it's good for everyone to understand the importance of those high service pumps. If you don't have those, we're attempting to, supply the pressure to the town with just the wells, and there's some, tricky parts to that and some negative parts to that. We were able to keep them going through rural water and some of the contacts. We found their pump through Red Rock rural water from an old plant that they weren't using. We were able to get it in. It was not able to do what we were hoping it would do from a gallon per minute standpoint, but it got us 250 more gallons per minute. So now when it's time for the tower to fill, both the one we have and then the used one we got from there, our pump gallon both out where we're at. The 25 horse is due 500, and that's normal. Now, under normal usage, that's perfectly fine. We're good. The issue is, and the reason for the scrambling is fire, large water break, things happen. Water use becomes high, so that's why you need those two or sometimes three pumps. Only happened once for me and my time here. All three high service pumps that we're going to try to keep to their full. So yeah, they're a very, very important piece of the water system. And in that memo, you kind of got the gist of where we're at currently and where we want to be at by the end. So Corey's got us a brand new one with quality flow coming. Should be here within the next 6 or 7 days, it sounds like. And so we'll be in a much better spot then. But now where we need to be. So that's why we're here tonight to talk about what we want to do moving forward.
So two things. One motion that we for sure need is the authorization to approve this pump that's currently on order. That's kind of what we had sent out last week via text, and in the interest of lead time and getting back up to at least a capacity where we are more comfortable, put it in. So that would be motion number one, and I think let's do that, and then we can kind of have